Greetings to you all. We continue. This is the Sin Problem Part 2. The subtitle is Satan is at the center of sin. The great dragon, the ancient serpent, the devil, Satan. Revelation 12:9 reads, the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. And then in Revelation 22 it says, he sees the dragon, that ancient serpent, that is the devil or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, because he's going to be released again to work against the attack of Israel, to mastermind the attack on Israel. In Isaiah 11 to 15, talking about Satan, which is the rebellion in heaven, it reads, your pride, your pomp, your splendor has been sent down to the place of the dead. The music from your harps goes with it. Flies or maggots are spread out like your bed beneath you, and worms cover your body like a blanket. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star. Even though you was bright as the rising sun, in the past all the nations on earth bowed down before you. But now you have been cut down. You told yourself, I will go up to heaven. I will ascend to the sky. I will put my throne above God's stars. I will sit and rule on the mountain of God's assembly, or the slopes of the sacred mountain, Mount Zephon. I will go up, ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will be like God Most High. But you were brought down to the grave, to the deep places where the dead are. So basically here, this is Satan's pride. He was not happy with his position. He wanted to be God. And that's why he set up his rival kingdom. And this is where the war is. Like, our warfare is not carnal, but it's not carnal. It's not against flesh and blood. It's a spiritual war between Satan and his forces against God, and the fight is over the prize, which is God's people, God's creation, the children of God, whom He created for Himself. Satan he does not want God to have His family here on earth. In Proverbs 16 to 21, it reads, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be lowly in spirit along with the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud. Whoever gives heed to instruction prospers, and blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. So, pride comes before a fall. And as we read earlier, we know what Satan's end is going to be. And then verse 19 says, better to be lowly in spirit along with the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud. People of this world tend to glorify all earthly possessions, and this is the downfall of mankind. We tend to think that what we can own on earth is all there is, and that is not so. So when we put our trust in material things and this short life that we have here on earth, we mislead ourselves and we cheat ourselves out of a good life. And then in Luke 4:3 to 13, it reads, the devil said, now this is basically the temptation that Satan had basically tempted Jesus when he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. And he was basically telling him, says, then the devil took Jesus and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in an instant. And the devil said to Jesus, I will give you all these kingdoms and all their power and glory, if it is all been given to me, because he deceived Adam out of it, and I can give it to anyone I choose. So he was attempting him through the lust of the eyes, possessions. And if you worship me, I'll give all this to you. Then he went on and he says, then the devil led Jesus to Jerusalem and put him in a high place on the temple and said to Jesus, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. As it is written in the scriptures, he will put his angels in charge. He's put his angels in charge of you, and he will protect you and watch over you. If you should fall, they will catch you. You won't hurt yourself. But Jesus replied, do not test the Lord. Basically saying he was not succumbing to the pride of life. Basically he tried to tempt Jesus. When he says, or the first one was when he said to him, if you're the Son of God, tell this rock to become bread, the lust of the flesh. And he refused. He says, no, I'm not going to do that. But the whole idea is that Satan, he's got no bounds. Even the Son of God, he tried to tempt him. And he tempted him in the way that he tempted Eve. He did not differentiate, because he was in the human body, he was using that as a way of tempting him. He dismally failed, because here is someone who is God himself. And you could not tempt him in that way. And we'll see why in a little while. In Psalm 279, it reads, now I will tell you what the Lord has declared. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. If you ask me, I will give you the nations as your inheritance. All the peoples on the earth will be yours. You will rule over them with an iron rod, a scepter, and you will break them into pieces like pottery. So basically, he's tempting him something that he'd already had, which the Father had given him. And this is the irony of it all. So it didn't work. Remember, here's someone who didn't sin. He never sinned. It didn't work. So in a similar way, Satan still continues to tempt us, and too often prevails by our unbelief and by our own lusts. For we are drawn away, we separate ourselves from God because of these lusts. And this is how we are enticed, we are ensnared and overcome. In James 1:14-15, it says, but people are tempted when their own evil desires lead them away and trap them and entice them. This desire leads to sin. Then after desire is conceived, it gives birth to sin. And when the sin grows, it becomes full grown and brings and gives birth to death. We know that the wage of sin is death. In Genesis 3:8 says, then they heard the sound. Once you have when you have sinned, the tendency is that you want to run away. This is what we have in Genesis 3:8-9. When they'd sinned, they felt naked and they were hiding from him. They ran away from God instead of running to him. So and we know that the other side of sin is that she also gave her husband who was with her the bread to eat. So here it says, she gave also to her husband with her. It is likely he was not with her when she was tempted. Surely, if he had been, he would or should have interjected and saved her. But anyway, nevertheless, what the situation is that 1 Timothy 2:4 says, and Adam was not tricked or deceived or led astray, but the woman was tricked, deceived, and led astray, and became a sinner. In Romans 1:32, the tendency that normally happens when people sin is they know God's law, what the God's law says, that it's righteous requirements, that those who live like this should die, but they themselves are not not only continue to do these evil things, they applaud and approve and encourage others to do the same, which is what Harvard did here. When you come into sin, you try to bring other people in to participate in your sin as well. I don't know whether it's for comfort. I suppose it's the ploy is used to make sure that you get into the same leaking boat, as if there is any way of comforting one another in the lake of fire and brimstone. Yeah, it's like you find comfort in being many sinners than just being the lone sinner. I don't know what comfort there is. I don't think when people are roasting in the lake of fire, there's any comfort that you get from your next door neighbor, because you will be focusing on your anguish and your pain. So let's suppose he came to her when she had eaten and not prevailed upon, and was not prevailed upon by anything, but the mere fact that he idolized and worshipped the gift. And then this is my position here. I think Adam, he took and ate the thing because he idolized Eve. And I think an indication comes from Genesis 2, verses 23 to 24. And the man said, now this is someone whose bones came from my bones, whose body came from my body. At last, this is the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh. I will call her woman, because she was taken out of man. So a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife. The two will become one body. So I think basically I'm saying that that Adam idolized his wife, and that's why he was not deceived. He was doing it because of his loyalty to her, which is a wrong way of expressing it. He wanted to please her. And so she gave it to him, and he did eat. His sin was disobedience, and the command was plain and simple. For certain, the greatest consequence and effect of his sin was its far-reaching impact on all his posterity. Perhaps he did not fully comprehend or appreciate the almost eternal fallout of his sin, that his disobedience would be so injurious to all his seed. And in this sense, it is most certainly both the greatest treachery and the greatest cruelty in human history that ever was. I highlight the point to remind us there is no solidarity in sin. You can ill afford to identify with another's sin. To do so is to effectively make it your very own sin by and through adoption, and suffer the very same verdict and judgment. In 1 John, we mentioned this earlier, that anyone who commits sin is basically a lawless person. This is what happened. In Romans 5:12, it says, this then is what happened. Sin made this entry into the world through one man, and through sin, death. The entail of sin and death passed on to the whole human race, and no one could break it, for no one was himself free from sin. So it requires someone to be free of sin to save anybody. And there was no human being to go us free of sin because of Adam, we are all born in sin. We are all sinners. So in 1 John 1:10, it says, which we mentioned earlier in part 1, that if we have not sinned, we make God a liar, and we do not accept God's teaching. His word is not in us. So as a result of the fall, now when God was passing judgment immediately after Adam fell, the serpent, the Lord God said to the snake, because you have done this, a curse will be put on you. You'll be cursed as no other animal will ever be. You will crawl on your stomach and you will eat dust all the days of your life. I will make you and the woman enemies to each other. There'll be enmity between you and the woman. Your descendants, your seed, and her descendants will be enemies. So basically here is talking about the great sacrifice to deal with this problem. The descendants of woman was Jesus. And he came and he defeated Satan and took back the world that the first Adam had lost. One of your descendants will crush your head. One of her descendants will crush your head, and you will bite and strike and bruise his heel. Yes, he killed him, but in so doing, he gave God the victory, gave Jesus the victory, because he was intended to be the sacrifice. In Romans 16:20 says, and God, the God who brings peace, will soon defeat Satan and give you power over him. So to Havah, he said to her, then God said to the woman, I will cause you to have much trouble when you are pregnant, and when you give birth to children, you will have great pain. So that was a punishment that was instant. Childbirth is not easy. And 1 Timothy 2:15 has this to say about that. It says, nevertheless, that sentence put about women of pain does not hinder their soul's salvation. The sentence put upon women of pain in motherhood does not hinder their soul's salvation, and they will be saved eternally if they continue in faith and love and holiness with self-control, saved indeed through the childbearing or by the birth of the divine child. So basically, I think what they are saying is that, well, what God was saying is that they were going to the giving birth, they'll desire to do it, but it's going to be a painful thing. It will bring them, it will be almost, yes, bring them close to death. But they could, through faithfulness, get through it. Being faithful and holy, God will ease their pain in a way. In the Amplified Translation reads, but women will be preserved, saved through the pain and dangers of bearing of children if they continue in faith and love and holiness with self-control and discretion. So basically, if they're holy, this thing they will go through it well without any major mishaps. Yes, they will go through it, they will survive. God will make sure he will bless them and will make it bearable and make it possible to go through it safely. In Luke 11:27-28 reads, as Jesus was saying these things, a woman in the crowd called out to Jesus, blessed is the mother who gave birth to you, and the breast that nursed you. And Jesus responded, he says, but Jesus said, no, rather on the contrary, blessed are those who hear the teaching of God and obey, practice and keep it, but that's the only life-saving side of things, the word of God. Not the breast that gave birth to you. Because most cultures, they've got a habit of glorifying the mothers, when in fact the person who is supposed to be glorified is God the Father, who gives life through his word. So it continues here, you greatly desire your husband, but he will rule over you. That's part of the curse here, that they will be dominated by their husbands. Ordinarily, that always happens in practice, maybe not so. Generally, but generally speaking, the men, because of the power game, they tend to dominate the women, or certainly in the earlier years. Then to Adam, he says, then God said to the man, you listened to what your wife said, and you ate the fruit from the tree from which I commanded you not to. The key, King James, as we said, I think in part 1, was that because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife, and you ate from the tree of life, life is going to be very difficult for you. As I'm going to put a curse on the ground, and you will have to work very hard, toil, labor for your food. In pain you will eat this food all the days of your life. The ground will produce thorns and weeds for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. You will sweat and work hard for it. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food. Later you'll return to the ground because you were taken from it. You are dust, and when you die, you shall return to the dust. To the dust you shall return. So here I think it's a two-pronged approach. There is the physical thing of working hard. There is the physical part of him plowing, planting food, and it's not going to be easy. There's a hard side to it. He's going to toil doing that because you never know what's going to happen, whether they're going to have a good harvest or bad harvest. There's going to be a drought, but you're going to work hard, and the earth is going to produce thorns and weeds. But there's also a spiritual side that Adam, was going to be always in a struggle against the forces of darkness. These are the thorns and the weeds as well. They will be resisting and fighting him, trying to keep him down, stopping him from elevating to going to higher ground. You'll have to work and struggle and resist temptation, to stay above temptation, to look up rather than look down on the ground. Because this world is really for those who look down on the ground, who don't look up. When you look down on the ground and you have nothing to do with God, Satan tends not to pay much attention to you. But when you want to go higher and you're looking up, looking for God, that's when your battles begin. And this is where the struggle is, because the flesh will be fighting the spirit and trying to keep you down rather than going up. So this is the two-pronged problem that man has. As the one who has given dominion, he is supposed to be leading the wife and the family on that path to holiness and righteousness to God. And life is not going to be easy. But like in the case of the woman, when you are close to God, he will make ways for you to be able to achieve it more easily than otherwise. But even notwithstanding that, it's going to be a struggle between the good. It's a struggle between the good and the bad. Satan will be trying to batter you down. You are trying to rise. You'll try to be drowning the spirit, and your spirit will be trying to drown and subdue the flesh. So this is the two-pronged struggle that we have here, a spiritual one and a carnal one. And then there's the side providing for the flesh, because we have blood and flesh and blood, so we need physical food for sustenance. And the earth is going to, there's no guarantee. It is going to be a struggle, because also the thorns and the weeds will come up and reduce our harvest. The rains may not come. But if we stay close and aligned to God, he will take care of us. So this brings us now to the end of part 2, and brings us to our introspection and meditation for Revelation 10, verses 8 to 11, which reads, Then I heard the same voice from heaven again saying to me, Go and take the small scroll that is in the hand of the angel that is standing on the sea and on the land. So I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll, and he said to me, take the scroll and eat it, a symbol of internalizing the word. It will be sour, bitter in your stomach because it is a message of judgment, but in your mouth it will be sweet as honey because it is God's word and because it brings salvation and vindication to his people. So I took the small scroll from the angel's hand and ate it. In my mouth it tasted sweet as honey, but after I ate it, it was sour, bitter in my stomach. Then I was told, you must prophesy again about many peoples, nations, languages, and kings. You must share the word you just received. The contemporary English version for the last verse reads, then some voices said, keep on telling what will happen to the people of many nations, races, and languages, and also to kings. Our benediction comes out of Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 to 27. The Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron and his sons, this is how you should bless the Israelites. Say to them, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord guard you. May the Lord show you his kindness, make his face shine upon you and have mercy on you. May the Lord be gracious to you. May the Lord watch over you, lift up his face, presence, countenance upon you and give you peace. So Aaron and his sons will bless the Israelites with my name, and I will bless them. Thank you, and may God bless you all.